Top 5 questions about the Kansas City real estate market at the end of 2024. We've been getting quite a few from viewers of this channel. I've spoken with quite a few lenders. You've spoken with quite a few homeowners in the Kansas City suburbs. In this video, we're going to answer the most popular questions. We're hearing everything from how low will rates get, how will the election impact the real estate market here, as well as does it make sense to buy now, or are you better off waiting until 2025? Before we get started, my name's Nick.
I'm Jordan.
And we help people buy, build, and sell homes right here in the Kansas City suburbs.
Question number 1, will mortgage rates hit 5% in 2025? Nick, why are we using 5% as that magic number?
Jordan, it's a great question because I know a lot of homeowners, you want to see the 2%, you want to see the 3%, but according to a lot of these experts, they say 5% is the magic threshold to see a lot more homes go up for sale. Because right now, what people are dealing with is the lock-in effect. They've got very low mortgage rates, right?
So most people that I talk to on a daily basis, I mean, they either purchased or refinanced their house 2020 to 2022. And so they're locked in at, anywhere from 2.5 to 4% on a 30-year mortgage. So, along that span as well, house prices went up 20%, I think, in 2021, just in Johnson County. So with the increase in prices and mortgage rates, it just doesn't make sense for them financially to refi.
That's right. It's hard to leave something like that. And that's also the reason we don't see many homes going up for sale. That's something that we'll talk about later in this video. But as of today, we'll put a chart on the screen. Rates are around 6.26%. It's quite an improvement. Earlier last month, the Federal Reserve came out. They decreased interest rates for the first time in a very long time. And they had planned on doing that for the remainder of the year. But we're experiencing quite a bit of turbulence, two kind of black swan events, or I guess events that were probably more predictable than something like that.
Yeah. So, obviously we have uncertainty in the Middle East right now, possibly war with Iran could cause an increase in fuel prices. And then recently the longshoremen on the East Coast, they just went on strike all the way from Maine to Texas. And that's $4.5 billion a day that could cost our economy.
If I'm the Federal Reserve and I had planned on decreasing rates, my calculus has now changed, and I'm watching both of these events like a hawk to see how they develop. But back to the question, would rates hit 5% by the end of 2025? I think without those two events, that would be kind of a golden pipe dream scenario. That would be the best case scenario.
I talked to a couple different mortgage lenders last night, and I asked them, hey, what do you think rates are going to do? One of them said, I have no idea. Another one was, hey, it's going to be rocky and volatile until the end of 2024, and then maybe slowly drop rates throughout the year. And then the third lender I talked to, he said steady to lower.
Now, back to the question of will mortgage rates hit below 5% in 2025? I'll give you my answer. Jordan's going to give you his. So we disagree over a little bit of this, but I think we can broadly agree that they're moving in the right direction for a lot of home buyers. So my prediction, if I'm just shooting from the hip, I would say we could end up anywhere between a 5.5% and a 6%, depending on how things unfold. And that's a very conservative estimate. I think best case, we'd hit 5%, but I think that's just a little bit too out of reach given the port strike, conflicts in the Middle East. And of course, we still don't know how the election will impact this, which we'll talk about here in a second.
So I have a little bit of an optimistic outlook, and I think that by the end of 2025, I think we're going to be in that 5 to 5.5% range, which really is a solid, if you look at a historical chart, that's a solid place for a 30-year mortgage.
Absolutely. And I hope he's right, because I'm going to refinance if that's the case. Question number 2, how will the election impact the Kansas City real estate market?
So me personally, Nick, I don't believe that the presidential election will have that much of an impact on our local market here in Kansas City. It has more to do with population growth, local politics, and local regulation.
Absolutely. I think, and I'd agree with that. I think a lot of what's happening right now is, and I'll tell you, if my candidate wins that I want to win, I'm going to feel much better about the economy, the housing market, et cetera. I'm sure people on both sides of the aisle feel that way. So a lot of this is perception based. If my candidate wins, I'm going to feel more comfortable about the economy. I think one of the advantages right now is you've got a lot of people thinking that way, kind of waiting, let's see what happens with the election. In reality, reality, the competition in the market has really gone down. A lot of people are on the sidelines. They're waiting until afterwards.
That's the time to buy.
And that would be the time to buy. But we'll break that down here in a little bit. I think end of the day, we've heard a lot of policy positions from both sides. Those have to get through Congress. There's a little bit of a gridlock, especially based on what happens with Congress, and implementing them is a whole different situation.
Question number 3, will the Kansas City housing market be more competitive in 2025? What do you think, Nick?
Yes, absolutely. And that's because we're in a housing shortage right now, right? We're not building enough homes every single year. If rates are on the downward trajectory, you've got home buyers who are going to have a lot more buying power. Their monthly payment's going to be less. And that one thing that's anchoring them to their current home, even if it doesn't fit their day-to-day needs, which are lower mortgage rates, they're going to feel a little bit more confident actually selling that home and trading up if we're right that rates will drop.
Yeah. And just the other factor besides rates, Nick touched on it, we're in a housing shortage. So right now there's 2 months of supply, actually less than 2 months of supply of houses in Kansas City. What that means is, 2 months goes by and we have no new listings. There's nothing to sell. They've all been bought.
Exactly. So I think in terms of what we'll see, it's likely that more people will sell their home. You'll see more options in the market, but it's not a one-to-one increase in supply because a lot of those folks are going to go and buy another home. So you'll see more homes in the market, but it's going to be more competitive, probably like 2021, 2022, when rates were still kind of low, but starting to increase just a little bit. I think we're going to we still see bidding wars. We still see situations where people will waive inspections, waive appraisals. I think we'll see quite a resurgence of that depending on the specific location.
And house and quality and everything.
Absolutely. Question number 4, will home prices drop in 2025? I know a lot of you are waiting for that. I would love to see home prices drop, but...
Yeah, so I did see 1 month year over year earlier, I think it was in June, where we were down 0.8% in Johnson County, but every other month year over year has been up 3-4%. So unless we have, a catastrophic event like, a huge World War III breaks out or massive unemployment, I really don't see home prices dropping. There's just too much demand, too low of supply.
Absolutely. And, a couple reasons why, and we've done previous videos about this, you've got the limited supply. So that fundamentally limits how much they can drop. And not a lot of foreclosures happening because people are sitting on record levels of equity. The last 4 years, prices have gone up like a 40%, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then I think the third reason is generational demand. You've got 2 things happening right now. You've got young millennials, Gen Z, they're getting to their peak home buying years. You also have the great wealth transfer. $70 to $100 trillion will be changing hands over the next decade. And a lot of that's going to be passed down to people who are at that peak home buying age. But there's one other.
Yeah, and I don't know where I saw this stat, but something like 40% of all homes in the country are paid for, no mortgage at all. So
that's right. And, granted, some percent are held by hedge funds who will never sell the home. It'll never be back on the market. And it's just unlikely, given the housing shortage, that we see that movement on home prices that a lot of people would like to see. And that's all for number 4. We're going to move on to number 5. I think the next one is certainly probably the most important one we'll answer. But before we do, if you have any questions about buying, building, or selling a home in the Kansas City suburbs, we'd love to make all of this specific to you in your situation, because that matters more than anything we've talked about so far in this video. So if you have any questions, if you want to discuss what makes the most sense, how can I set myself up for success, how can I negotiate a really good deal, then give us a phone call, text message, or email, and we'd absolutely love to help out.
Question number 5, guys. Should you buy now or should you buy later? Nick, what do you think?
I hate to answer this question. I get it. I'm a real estate agent, both real estate agents, and I don't want to be the one that says, hey, now is a great time to buy, and who says that, and no matter what happens. So I'll be very specific. Now is a good time to buy if you're comfortable with the monthly payment or you have cash on the sidelines. And just based on what I think, I don't want to compete. And if you've reached out, if you've worked with me, from the very beginning, we want to set you up so you can negotiate from the strongest position possible. The lower where rates go, the longer you wait, the higher prices are going to get, the more competition from home buyers jumping into the market. So we're still in the middle of a housing shortage. So if you've got cash on the sidelines, if you can afford to finance the purchase of the house right now, you can't change the price you pay for the house, but you can always change your rate. So for that reason, I'd want to sidestep competition. I'd zig while everybody else is zagging and not buying homes and worrying about the election. I'd go ahead and do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so reasons to wait, right? So we do believe interest rates are going to go down. So why not just wait for them? Now, possibly more competition, but if you don't care about that, just buy later. Also, when rates do go down, because the vast majority of people I talk to, like I said, they're waiting on that rate because they're locked in. So once the rate goes down, maybe they're ready to make a move that puts their house on the market, creates more inventory. Also, builders may start building more spec homes because rates are down. It's kind of a win-win.
But
Guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you think rates are going to go down? Do you think prices are going up? Is it a good time to buy now or later? Let us know what you think.
absolutely. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. If you have any specific questions, if you want to discuss how to create a game plan so that you can take advantage of what's going on in the market right now, whether you do buy now or whether you wait, we'd love to set you up for success. There's a phone call, text message, email. We'd love to help out. Before you go, there are 2 videos on the screen. One where we go into a lot of detail, buy now versus wait, the pros and cons of both, and another, the one that YouTube thinks you'd enjoy the most. So click on either of those and we'll see you on the other side.